Hi, this is Tim from fititmidlife.com. Today, I've got an in the muck, in the water test of the Altama OTB Maritime Assault Boot versus the GORUCK MACV-1 Jungle Ruck Boot. Which one does better in the mud? Which one does better in the water? That's what we're going to talk about and show you, so stick around. So one problem with the Altama OTB is with the drain ports being really low on the shoe means any amount of water or mud will get your socks wet. All right, time to immerse. Here's the first serious mud, so let's see how the Altamas handle this. So you can see that's pretty deep. It's almost suctioning off the boot, but not quite. The Altamas give great traction on all these tree roots and cypress knees here, so they work great for this kind of stuff. Okay, so it's been quite some time since I went full immersion, and obviously I've been walking through a lot of mud, but I will say, I mean, my socks are wet, but it feels like all the water is out other than maybe what's absorbed into the sock. So there's no squishing or anything like that. And that is partially because the midsole on this thing won't absorb water. The sides are a closed cell foam that won't absorb water. And, you know, that's the whole purpose behind these shoes, behind these boots. All right, now for part two. I have brought in the MACV-1 Jungle Ruck Boot, 2nd generation, which also has water draining ports, but they're up higher. And there's some other differences, like much more cushion. So let's try these on the return route. Here's that really deep mud. Let's give it a go with the MACV-1. You can tell I'm just trying to get stuck. Did all right? Now, with the MACV-1, on all these roots and cypress knees, it feels like there's more stack height, and it feels like the traction of the rubber outsole is fine, but you feel like there's more material between you and the obstacle. So you can't kind of flex your foot and get traction as well on these roots and things like that. Here's one advantage of the MACV-1. Because the drain ports are up higher, you can go in some depth of water without getting wet. That said, I don't think they're going to drain as well. Well, let's find out. All right, time for full immersion in the GORUCK MACV-1. Let's get that mud off there. So even though the water's not up over the collar, of course my feet are wet because the water's coming in through the drain ports, but also the sides are 1000D Cordura, so they're not waterproof, not by a long shot. So they're definitely wet now. Okay, so I said the midsole in the Altama does not absorb water, whereas the MACV-1 does. Let's test that though. I'm gonna dunk these and we'll compare side by side. Stand by. So first of all, you can see the water draining out. But let's take out the midsole on the Altama. And I mean, it's rubber, it's plastic. It just does not absorb water. That's just the way it's made. And with those really low down drain ports, it's just a great way to get the water out. You see how low down that is? And yeah, it's my fingers down against the lower edge. So really efficient at draining. Now, the MACV-1 in comparison, so it's still full of water here. Let's dump it out. And it's possible the drain port got blocked. But here's the midsole, and I mean, you can see that absorbs water. So this is, you can't really get rid of the squish, squish, squish in the MACV-1, and that's what I'm experiencing, whereas I feel like I could effectively get rid of the squish, squish, squish when I was wearing the Altama. Now, having said that, these have horribly little cushion, and this is much more comfortable. Once I hit the pavement, once I hit the asphalt, this is a much better boot in that regard. So this is very specialized, but that shouldn't surprise you because that's the whole idea behind the thing. Here's one more thing. On the MACV-1, these are not the stock laces. These are iron laces, unbreakable boot laces. They do not absorb water. They do not freeze. They do not burn. You cannot break them. And you can see they're faring better than the regular laces. These are waterlogged. These are muddy. These are holding water. And these are probably very easy to break. Not that you couldn't upgrade the laces on these as well, but I do think the iron lace is absolutely a good upgrade. It's also smaller, thinner, so there's less surface area to even gather junk, mud, and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot easier to put the Altamas on and off because the collar kind of dips down in the heel. So much easier to do if you're trying to change shoes in a rush, or if you're hopping around on one foot in the mud, trying not to get your socks dirty. All right, time to get out of here and go home. So hopefully the Sea to Summit 20-liter dry sack will keep water in just as well as it keeps water out. All right, we're back at home base, so let's wrap this up. I'll give you my thoughts and summary on how the two boots performed. So you can see I've cleaned them up quite a bit here, left them under a fan overnight so that they would dry out. And basically, this kind of played out the way I thought it would. The OTB being a very specialized niche kind of shoe, it performed as I thought it would. So with the drain ports down low and on both sides, with the extensive use of waterproof materials and materials that won't absorb water, so like all this rubber up front, the rubber outsole, the midsole that won't absorb water, and even these side pieces, these are closed cell foam, these will not absorb water. The mesh parts will, but there's not a ton there to absorb a lot of water, and whatever is there finds its way out through the drain ports. So it really made a difference that I could feel. So I was able to get rid of the water more completely and more quickly in the Altama OTB. Now, the flip side of that, though, is this does not have a ton of cushion. And so you know, if you're walking in muck, can you tell a difference? No, you can't. But if you're on concrete, if you're on asphalt, if you're going long distances, that definitely your feet start to hurt, especially if you're carrying weight. So I was carrying 41 pounds, 10 miles in that test. And I definitely switched over to the MACV-1s for the route home, which was all dry. Other things I like about these, this rubber part, the boot part up front, this works well. I like that it's low, and you can put these, take these on, take them off easy. You've got a pull tab on the heel, very, very easy. And they still gave excellent ankle support. So mid-cut height, shorter than the MACV-1, but you can get this tight, and this is stiff enough where you really get some good ankle support in this thing. So the MACV-1, on the other hand, now this has the drain ports down low, as I've mentioned, but also there's other factors here. So the midsole will absorb water, as I showed you. But this shoe has better cushion. It's got a 13 millimeter heel to toe drop, so it's optimized for endurance over the distance. It works great on concrete and asphalt because of all that great cushion. It definitely, this is a great long range, longer distance shoe. I could not get all the water out of this completely, and it took quite a while because the drain ports are up high, and again, because of the midsole absorbs some of the water. Overall, though, this is a more versatile, general purpose kind of shoe, and generally speaking, works better for going long distances on dry land. So I hope you enjoyed that review. I hope this was helpful. If you liked, please subscribe. We post new shoe reviews regularly. Thank you. Have a good day.